Okay, so any thoughts about last class, or just in general, things that have struck you, questions that you may have about anything, thoughts you have about anything?
So I unfortunately was not able to listen to the last class, and I was not able to listen to the recording yet. So I'm just
Okay.
here to learn whatever I can learn.
Oh, so then the Malchus part got lost on you. So one of the things that she said, she spent a good part of the first half of the class speaking about, is why it's important for women to be involved, especially in the early stages of preparation. And that notoriously or traditionally women were engaged in making the tachrichim. And she spoke about death coming into the world because of the chait of Chava. And therefore women being involved in preparations are a tikkun for or Chava, the role of women in bringing death into the world, which is pretty wild.
Wow, that's beautiful.
And then she spoke about the sphere of Malchus as being uniquely a feminine sphere, and that it's taking all the channels of spiritual energy and manifesting it into the world. So sort of taking all the energy and the potential and all of that, and then actualizing it as a feminine attribute, likened to Malchus. And so the Maavar Yabok speaks a lot about Malchus as being a feminine attribute, and that being something, therefore, that women should be. That's why we're good at. That's why we should be involved in the preparation, especially the early preparation of making the garments, taking the spiritual ideas and then putting it out into the world in a physical way, like through the actions of our hands, through the child rearing, through the washing the dishes, through the changing the diapers, through the feeding the children, clothing the children, all these physical things that are a manifestation of Malchus, is the realm of women. So that's what she spoke about. And then she spoke about, I don't really want to, these are the things that I've been like chewing over. She spoke about, and I actually gave this over to Shiva House, which I think was helpful. She spoke about the weaving. I mean, everybody who heard her wants to correct me or jump in, please do. She spoke about the weaving of the tachrichim, and that they are made up of threads, and they are likened to the threads of a person's life. So everything that a person brings into the world, everything they like to do. And she told a story, and maybe Debbie and Karen, if you heard her story, I wonder what you think about this. That story she told about somebody she knew from Israel who came to America to pay a shiva call for people that had been in the Surfside tragedy. And this woman who had died, the woman that she was paying a shiva call to the family for, the woman liked boots. And so the woman, being Menachem Avel, came to the funeral with boots on as a kind of I know that this loved person liked boots, and I'm wearing boots to honor the fact that she liked boots. And she said that having all the likes of a person, like they're like, because sometimes I go to a funeral and I hear people talk about, oh, you know, they really, really like chicken soup and really like to play golf and really like, and I think, well, but what's the real stuff? And she was suggesting that liking boots is the real stuff. It's a thread of a person's life. It's a piece of who they are. And all of the threads, like all the good things, all the pieces that make up that person are then woven together into tapestry of the tachrichim. And that when we envelope, it's almost like we're sort of bringing closure and enveloping her in all of these threads of her life that are coming together at the end, and like sort of tying it up in a bow, so to speak, and bringing it closure, like wrapping her in all of the threads that make up who she is, who she was. I don't know, I thought that was super imagery.
Wow, that's amazing. That is like, I'm just trying to wrap my head around what you're saying. It's so powerful. And I think what's so beautiful about it is that it gives value to every single little thing that's important to us in our life. and everything that we go through and everything that we experience, no matter how small and superficial it might seem, it's all a part of what makes us up. I think that's so amazing. Thank you. Thank you.
Debbie, what do you want to add there?
I'm just thinking of, times where I've sat at a shiva and people have just kind of thrown out anecdotes about the person, or, funny things that happened, or times that they were with them, or things they did, or things that they remember the person liked, or, the person's idiosyncrasies, and just how, the group together kind of wove this tapestry about the person and their personality and their, and things that happened in their life. And, and to think that was kind of this weaving, and, how powerful those moments are for the family and for the mourners who are, who are coming to grips with the loss of this person. And to think that then that those threads are, then kind of woven in the tachrichim of the person, of the met, is really powerful. So.
Hi, Irene. I actually muted you because for some reason when you're on, there's a lot of static in the back. So I muted you, but please feel free to unmute yourself when you'd like to talk to us. And welcome. And I guess you're not watching Wimbledon.
Not at the moment. This is fascinating me. Afterwards, I will.
So, we were just kind of recapping a little bit some of the things that Shalamis didn't have a chance to listen or read the notes about the last class, and going over these threads of a person's life, and how she spoke about the each individual thread being part of the tachrichim that were enveloping her in all of who she was. And I think for me, it changed, like what you said, Debbie, about people telling anecdotal stories. There was a part of me that was like, well, what, but like, what's the, like, that didn't seem to be as important as like all the chesed and all the things that we put up here on a big shelf and say, that's what we're aspiring to. And she's saying wearing boots and liking boots is a strand of that person, like, and these anecdotal stories of, whatever it was that happened to a person. Like you said, every single thing is part of who they were and what they brought into the world and what made them uniquely them. So I think it's super lovely. Yeah. And then she spoke a little bit about burying in a talus. And I didn't know this, that she said that women also are, the talus is laid over in Israel, the talus is laid over women also. And that in the grave, the talus is taken out. So the person is not buried with the talus. But I don't know why, but she said that wool from which a talus is made is chesed. Like the sheep gives its wool. It's not a difficult textile to get. And so wool apparently represents chesed. So again, we're bringing chesed into the aron, into the mixture. We're bringing that kindness and wrapping a person in kindness as represented by the talus. Welcome, Barbara.
I just have a question about that. So are men wrapped in a talus?
Yeah.
I mean, I know in Eretz Yisrael they are, but I'm saying like in Chutz La'aretz, are men wrapped in a talus or just tachrichim?
No, she said in Eretz Yisrael they take the talus out of the kever.
Interesting.
But here, I believe they are buried with a talus. No,
I don't know.
Yes, they
They
are.
are, yes.
So how, meaning they're buried in tachrichim and then the talus is wrapped on top of them?
Yes,
Is that?
that's what I understand.
Wow.
And somebody also said something about that the talus was removed and rendered pasul, but in Israel that it was not rendered pasul, it was given to the family. And who said that it was removed and rendered pasul?
I think Yehudis did.
Mm.
No, I'm pretty sure that she said that it was dafka not rendered pasul.
She said it was not pasul, yeah. And in Israel, they give it to somebody. It's quite okay. But everywhere else, you're buried in, the men are buried in in Taliesin.
Are they wrapped in it, or are they just laid on top? Do you know?
Let me ask my husband. Hold on, because he does. Hold on one second.
Yeah. Barbara, did you enjoy the class, the last class? Did anything particularly that stand out to you?
Yeah, I enjoyed the class immensely. I loved the thing with the talis and the chesed, like I was able to repeat that, and that women make the tachrichim, and women are, with the malchus and things like that. But I was just reviewing your notes. Thank you so much. I see how much I didn't remember.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I have to listen to it again.
Yeah.
And it really adds a lot. So when I did a tahara, I was trying to think, like when I was cleaning the hands, these hands did so much, in her lifetime, and things like that. Like it's making me a little more cognizant when I'm there. And I really like what one woman said, that before they walk into do a tahara, they stop for a minute and they meditate what they're going to do, that Hashem should help them do the best that they could. I really like that.
Yeah.
That's one of our women said that. I don't know who, So yeah, it's really good.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Irene, please.
I was very interested in what she was saying about the mixing, that women used to do the cleaning for the men and the women, and then later on it was stopped, and it's as we do it now. I never knew that, and I was really quite surprised. Yes.
Right, because we make such a point of saying, men do men, and it's all very sneers, and you don't want to. Yeah. I mean, there have been occasions where we've had to get somebody to help us maybe lift or turn and get a man. The man's available to help us, and it always feels a bit odd to have a man in the room.
Yeah, we also have that, but that's at the end when everything's finished, and they don't see anything else.
Yeah.
I want to ask a question if she addressed, I was thinking about, I think what Barbara just said about the idea of, like, as you're doing the tahara, to say, like, now we should have a kavana of this, or now we should have a kavana of that. Would such speaking be allowed in the tahara room? And also, did she go through I'm sorry that I didn't read the notes and listen to the class yet, but did she go through, like, what each of the garments stand for and what they're a kapara for?
No.
Because I know, like, in our tahara room, like, it has, like, each garment stands for something. So, like, let's say the hat is supposed to be a kapara for arrogance, and the belt is supposed to be for any sexual impure thoughts, or I don't remember all of them, but I was wondering if that's something that she would be able to address, and if we're allowed to like guide the women during the tahara, that this is the kavana that we have, because I think it would just make it more meaningful.
Yeah. I mean, perhaps it's all very synonymous with the garments of the Kohen Gadol, right? So the garments of the Kohen Gadol were also tikkun for all these different things. So therefore, it makes sense that when we're dressed like that would be similar to the different things that the garments brought tikkun for Klal Yisrael. No, she didn't talk about it, but I wonder whether, I mean, when we go through the Pesukim, for instance, the Pesukim that we say are bringing up that kavana, bringing up that mindfulness, aren't they? Like when we say, the pants are, or the this and that. So we do that. It is in the Pesukim.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I mean,
can't
I
hear you,
would
Debbie.
think I'm sorry.
Yep. Good.
She might clarify that next time, because she's asked us to send her all the prayers that we say.
Right. So if you want to send them to me, I'm happy to send them on. And then I think if you're up for it, we'll continue with another 3-part series on going through the Pesukim, I know that Irene, in England, you don't do that, but I'm sure there's a lot to learn anyway. And it's not like you don't say anything, right? You do say some things.
Oh yeah, we say quite a few things at the time of different parts of dressing, and at the end we say a prayer. So yeah, I would love to learn what everyone else does. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Irene, will you send what you do say, things that you say? Because I'm interested to hear. What
Yeah,
you-
I will send it to Alyssa. Yeah. Mm.
If everybody could send me a
Maybe
copy
we
of
all
what they
share.
say, that would be awesome. Just send it to me and we can distribute it around if people want to hear it. Zahava sent me something which was quite comprehensive, and it seemed to cover pretty much everything. And I'm sure, Barbara, what you say you're in Queens, right? Barbara?
Yes, yes,
So I think
I'm in Queens. Yeah,
you probably say everything that Rabbi Sohn puts out, right? Because he's in
right.
charge of your chevra. So it's probably very although he took some things out, some of the things we used to say, we now don't say them anymore.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So I'll try to get it and send it to you.
Please. I think some of the things like I have questions about, like what I wonder where the pottery came from. You know, what was, like, we were doing sand. I can understand she talked about sand, but I wonder what the pottery actually signifies and why don't we put sand in the mouth? Like, you'd think that would be so, maybe because it can't stay on the mouth, but I feel like that would be a very important place to get tikkun, would be on your mouth.
Well, your notes from the first class say that we do actually put sand in the mouth.
No, I don't think so. Really?
Yeah,
We
eyes,
put
eyes,
sand-
mouth,
we
heart,
put
and
sand in the mouth.
genitals, because sin enters through these apertures. I was just rereading those notes
Does
from
it
the
say
first-
mouth?
Yeah, I think we do. I think we put sand on the lips.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, we also put sand on the lips.
Oh, do you? Oh, cool. No, we don't. Cool.
And we don't put on the genitals, but we do put across the lower lap. Maybe that's considered genitals.
It's very interesting, the different things. And then there was something
And
else.
across the chest, like we put, from like armpit to armpit, but also not on the breasts. I don't know.
Well, we put it right in
For the
the
heart. On the heart.
right there. Yeah, right on the heart. Yeah. Yeah, we had I don't know if anybody else wants to address the class, but I have something else that came up recently. But is there anything else about the class that anybody had any thoughts about?
Oh, by the way, the men are totally wrapped in the tallis and buried in the tallis in America, or at
Right.
least here in Memphis.
And it's a puzzle
And
talent.
it gets buried with them. I mean, Rabbi Zone has come here quite a few times and taught us, so that's what we go by.
Yeah.
And we do as well. It's not apostle Thomas, it's the peasants talit. Yeah.
Does anybody know what the source of the vinegar and the egg? Does anybody do that? Yeah, so we don't. So what do you do?
It's in the Shulchan Aruch, but we don't do it. It's in Shulchan Aruch. There's all things about breaking egg yolks over the head. We don't do anything like that these days.
I thought it kind of had to do with the.
Shalamis, we can't hear you. Hold on, Karen's talking.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Karen.
I thought it had to do with the the cycle of life. Maybe the egg, isn't that always some symbol of the egg? Like after the funeral, the first meal, don't they usually eat eggs or something? I think that's what, I thought that's what that was all about. But the vinegar, I guess, I don't know, that's like a preservative. So
Hope
I don't
not.
know. Well,
I don't know. I think I'm not sure. I shouldn't even say, but to identify that they were Jewish and like to stay away from them, like the smell of vinegar or something in the olden days when the king. I don't know. I have to double check. There is a reason for it, and we do it on the forehead. We put a dab on the forehead and we say Sarepti and Liam. Oh, it just escaped me. But we say a little pasuk when we put it on that before we put the bonnet on.
Hmm.
We do it in
And what do you do
clean.
with the egg? Do you like crack an egg into a bowl and then paint some on? Or
No,
do you-
the Roche does it. It's prepared. They do egg white and vinegar. I think
Oh,
equal
it's mixed
parts.
together.
Mixed together, and then it's in a little like a pill box, and then we open it and we put a dab on the forehead,
Huh.
on the top of the forehead before we put the bonnet on.
Mm.
It's just a minhag. So whatever your minhag is, it's supposed to be done, and
Yeah.
they're all minhagim. That's it.
Yeah. So we don't do that, but it sounds like Denver does it, and it sounds like Minneapolis, you do it.
We do the
Interesting.
whole body. I mean, down the whole front of the body.
So interesting.
Yeah, so we do, that's when we say the psukim. We do the Rosh Hashanah Paz, we do across the forehead, Einav Kayanim, Aleph Mayim, we do on the eyes and then on the cheeks, Sistos Hav Shoshanim on the lips, and then we do the front of the hand, the back of the hands, and on the lower lap and on the thighs. And that's when we say our psukim.
Oh,
Before-
and by
before-
us, we say the psukim when the person, the Rosh says it when the person washes the person,
Right.
when they wash the head, the eyes, and this and that. That's when it's said.
Right.
But
Well, that's
some
Rabbi
people
Tzom.
say it before. Some
Right.
Roshes ask us to say the tefillos before. But whoever knows it does it while they wash the person. Wash the mouth, so they say so shashanim, things like that.
Yeah, so I guess everyone does it differently. And we have the egg, and it's a whole egg, not just an egg yolk and vinegar mixture in a container that we reuse. And then, like the Rosh makes a new one every few taharas because it gets very smelly.
Uh-huh.
Understandably so.
Yeah.
'Cause it's-
And
yeah.
when we put the egg white, we say Sarakti Elayim Mayim Tahorim Titatem Kultum Masehem. That's what the person says when they put the egg white on.
And we say that pasuk when we're pouring the water.
Right. So do we.
So
Yeah.
No, we
I
say
guess it's like all a mishmash and somehow it comes together, right? We all do it.
uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we say it twice, really.
Oh.
It's just that person like whispers it when they put the egg white on.
It's fascinating, isn't it? Like we're all trying our best to kind of like do it right, and then you hear other people are doing different things. I guess it's all a lot in the kavana, isn't it? And
I don't think it's any right or wrong. I think it's
Right.
what your minhag is, what your chevras used to doing.
Right. But the goal is to prepare the nifteres for Tchias HaMesim, right? And the goal is to send her off as pure as possible. And it's interesting that there's sort of variations in how to do that. Which is cool. All right, I don't know that I have anything else to add to this. I think we'll just keep learning and keep sharing and keep growing. And there was something that she said at the end. What was it that she said at the end of the shiur? Let me see. Take a look at my notes. She said about the 9 measures of water of chesed and chesed and rachamim. Yeah. No. Yeah. Any other thoughts anybody has?
Can I just ask what your tachrichim are made of? Because she was talking about linen and things, and
Yeah, so ours are made of linen.
I think ours are actually cotton, but I'll have to check.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if anybody makes them by hand anymore. Are they handmade?
No, we have someone to make them. Yeah, but as I said, I know there are some families that do make their own. but mainly they're not from England, not origin. I know about French ones, yeah.
Oh. What's your background in France?
We've got a few people on the Chevra from France, yeah, from
Oh,
a
yeah.
French background, and they were telling us about it, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much
Of
for
course.
all you do.
Yeah, I'm feeling like a lot of this stuff is sort of still sinking in. And it's also super interesting, I think, the way in which, like, you know, Barbara, you were saying, or I think everybody on some level has said, when I have this knowledge, it then changes. Like, I still go back to that first year we said about MS, the Aleph and the Mace, and that we bring the Shekhinah in. And, you know, that to me just feels like we're filling this whole room with the Shekhinah. Wow. So that feels really powerful. And I think the other thing that has changed for me is and maybe it's nothing different if you were to look at what we do, like it's the same, but the feeling that there's some kind of like shlemus, there's some kind of peace or some kind of something that feels different to me in the room than I used to feel.
Yeah.
I think a lot of we often see it like, you know, when from the beginning to the end, you say, she looks so different now after the Tahara, you know, looks so different. And that is this peace and bringing her towards the state of going to the next world. It's quite amazing, really.
So you feel like you see a difference in the mace and have you like would you, I guess you, so we, I don't know, there's that balance, isn't it? Because you're not supposed to really look into the face, but you do look into the face, you have to wash the face. So but you can sense a very real difference, do you think, Irene?
I don't think it happens every time, but maybe in the ones who've like been quite damaged or there's some problem with them, they just look serene afterwards, and we comment on it, yeah, to ourselves. It's quite amazing. Yeah.
That's really powerful. That's really powerful.
Sometimes, I mean, it doesn't happen often, but you could see almost that person at peace with a little smile. And we could say that they're smiling. Like, I know, for instance, I did one recently, and when we had her in the pouch, she was bleeding all over. We had to clean the pouch. And after we washed her, she was beautiful. It was like such a difference after she was, you know, from the beginning till the end. It was like unbelievable. Do you really see a difference? Something.
I'm going to come back to you with that story. I think there's a I keep saying a bit, but I think that we should write some of this down, and we should take stories, like real stories of people doing our work and saying, this is what happens. This is what we see. You know, wouldn't it be, I think it's just such a powerful thing for people to know about. So I have to say, I don't know, I feel like I talk about Chevra Kadisha a lot, something I'm really like into. And I did a Tahara. We didn't do a Tahara on a young woman that had an autopsy, a full autopsy, and she was literally just in the bag of blood, and the head was open, and it was just, we couldn't do the Tahara. And it was someone, I knew her parents quite well, and I went to the Shiva, and they were not Orthodox, so it was like the people having drinks on the back deck kind of Shiva. And I had some time with the mother, and I don't know the mother that well. The child who had died was in her early 40s, but I don't know the mother that well. And again, you don't know what to say. And yet they knew that they know me and well enough that I had been on the Chevra, and they had prepared their daughter. And I really feel like Hashem just planted this word, the words that I said to this mother, which is that your daughter looked very peaceful. And I said, your daughter looked really peaceful. She was really looked like she was at peace. And the mother started crying, and she said, you can't know how important that was for me to hear, what a nechama that was, because she was so tortured in her life, and she had so much mental health issues and depressions and different things that she was going through. And her whole life was just one big bag of, you know, of anxiety and stress. And for you to come and say she looked peaceful in death was just such a lovely, important, meaningful thing for me to hear. So, I really felt like God gave me the words. Like and I don't even know if she looked peaceful. I actually don't, because we were so like wanting to do the Tahara and couldn't, that it was upsetting to us. There's that, like, I don't want to be upset in the Tahara room, but then you are, because you can't do what you want to do. And so there's a piece of you that feels a little anxious about it and feel like you haven't done what you were there to do, and da da da. And I don't even know if I did notice that she was peaceful, but I said what I said to the mother, and whether it was true or not didn't matter, because it gave her so much nachama. So.
Can I ask Barbara something about what she said? Barbara, are you still there? I don't know.
Yes,
Hi.
yes, I'm here.
You said something about a tahara that you did where you cleaned out the inside of the bag. You're talking about the body bag?
Yeah, the pouch.
There was so much
it
blood.
was full of blood.
Right.
So we wipe it up.
Right. So I understand that, but because there's so much blood in there, how are you supposed to know? Like, don't you figure that there's just a lot of sources of bleeding throughout the body? And I don't know. I don't know what exactly I'm trying to say. We did a tahara. It happened to be on my cousin, my first cousin. And there was a lot of fluid all in the bag. And her skin was like, like leaking. Fluid was leaking. You can't do it. You don't do a tahara on someone like that, right? Where, how the skin is leaking fluid all over. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
I'm sure you have.
Yeah. I have, but it's up to the rosh to say. We can't say. I don't know. Sometimes we do. We cover it with the web roll, and we do.
All over the body, but this was like all over the body.
I
so
don't
you
know.
really
I'm not
couldn't-
a rosh. I'm not
I'm just,
capable of answering that. I don't know.
I'm
It's
just
up to-
curious.
I don't know. There's no. It's up to the rosh, and there's no. You can't say carte blanche. You do it. You don't.
Well,
I can't
right.
answer that.
So I'm just
Each
asking
case
you.
is
So
different.
you cleaned up the blood. You took
There
the
were
person-
like really on the hand. There were like a few sources, but
okay.
but she was there a while, so the whole pouch was full. You could tell it was red blood. And then again, if it's mixed media or whatever, then it's up to the rosh to say, we're saving this, we're not saving that.
Okay.
But we try to clean off as much as possible,
Right.
of
course.
and save it.
Yeah.
Karen, if through the skin, if it's usually what they call interstitial fluid, so it's not blood.
I know.
So then there's no problem. You could do a tahara because you're not losing blood. Like, you can't put water where you're going to wash away blood, right? You can't do that. But if it's interstitial tissue fluids, cellular fluid that's not blood, then that doesn't, you can wash that away.
Right. I know you can wash it away. You don't have to save it. But the thing is that the skin will just come right off.
Yeah. So I'm assuming the
those
person's been dead
situations.
for a while. Then maybe they've been.
Well, yeah, it was. That was the problem. Anyway,
but the problem with the fluid is then you don't want to get it on the tachrikim.
Of course.
So the problem isn't the tahara part. The problem is the dressing part, and then there are ways to cover all the body such that doesn't get onto tachrikim. Sometimes we've used plastic. We've used plastic leggings, plastic torso kind of back, like it fits over the whole of the torso, and it's just like a plastic wrap. I've done
We
that.
use blue pads sometimes.
Blue pads, right? So that for that to protect the tachrikim, but in terms of doing the washing or the tahara, like obviously when you're washing, you can't rub too hard because then you will rub away the skin and then it starts to bleed. So you have to be really careful with that.
So in some cases like that, the rosh will say, we're not going to put her on the boards. We're just going to keep her on the table because her skin is too sensitive. Right. Or we don't put her in the mikvah because it's too,
you have a mikvah.
compromising.
Yeah, we don't have.
So it's up to the rosh to say what they're doing.
Right. Yeah. So if we don't use boards, we use a sheet. So we wet the sheet and then put the sheet under her. So she's not lying directly on the table. That's what we do. So that she's not
Oh,
actually on the
interesting.
table. Yeah. But
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah, I'm so sorry it was your first cousin, Karen. I'm so sorry to hear that, such sad news.
Well, I went to her unveiling just this past week, and that's all I could picture was that we couldn't do the Tahara and the Tahrichim were laid on top of her. And like, I'm still thinking about it. And it's been, a year. So I was just curious. It was just fresh in my mind. So,
Yeah. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
So,
It's interesting. We just did a Tahara. I just did a Tahara with Chaya Parkoff a few weeks ago that Chaya posted about. And the Rosh decided that we should do a Tahara. And after the Tahara, like I was not comfortable with the decision at all. I didn't say anything. And after the Tahara, I spoke to my father, who was, ran the Chevra Kadisha here for many years and answered Shiloh. And I spoke to our Rav. And, based on what I described, they both said that we should not have done a Tahara. And while I think that I've never seen a face look peaceful after Tahara, but I sensed like the energy in the room being very peaceful at the end of the Tahara. And I did sense that when we finished this woman's Tahara, but her body was her skin was so decomposed. She must have had some sort of illness that like, we definitely lost skin as much as we were trying to save everything. And whatever, I don't think that we should have done a Tahara, but my point is that when the Shiloh that I asked our Rav was the woman who's the Rosh here, like she said that one day she wants me to take over for her. And I said, like, if I would have been the Rosh, I would have decided not to do a Tahara. And like, what am I going to be held accountable for after 120 when I'm making that decision and what not, so our Rav, he was very much, he said, halacha is that you cannot lose blood and you cannot lose skin. So if you're going to do a Tahara and the possibility of losing blood and skin are high, then you should not be doing a Tahara. And that's what you're going to be held accountable for. And obviously, I could call a Rav, before such a Tahara and consult with them before making that decision. But I think, it's really a kavod to the mace when we can't do a proper Tahara, when that decision is made, it's a kavod to the mace that we're not doing a Tahara. I really felt that the Tahara that we did on this woman was like, it was a lack of kavod to her. I really felt that. And it was very difficult. It was very difficult. So I don't know if that's helpful, but that's what my thoughts are.
yeah.
We all feel like that when we can't do it how we actually want to. But I think we have to remember that we do the best we can and we save what we can, and what we can't do, that is actually the mitzvah. And by laying the Tahrichin on top, if you remember what Lissy said when she in her talk, if you viewed that from above, it can look like a dressed mace, It's we're just there to do what we can within the halacha.
Yeah, another thing that was difficult about the Tahara is that the Tahrichim did get soiled. They did get blood on them. It was I don't know. It was very difficult. It was difficult on many, many levels, but it was not, anyway, whatever. And I never heard of like wrapping a body in plastic or something. I really would like to find out about that more, how to go about doing that. And what I guess what our Chevra Kadisha would allow, what they wouldn't allow. That's very interesting.
We often, if there's a wound that keeps bleeding, we can wrap that part, sort of not the whole body, just that part, and it will often stop. And sometimes by the time we're kind of ready, we can even remove that because it may have stopped. But if not, we try and keep it as least as possible because, you don't really want that in the grade. That's going to last forever kind of thing. So it is quite difficult. We have to work out exactly what dressings and how large and how small, and if necessary at all. It's quite complicated.
Right. Because you want the body to be able to decompose, and the more plastic and even blue, whatever you put on, prevents it. So we try, not to do, to put as little as possible that's physically possible.
Oh, we lost Barbara. She meant to do that.
I just want to ask Shalamas a personal question. Can you hear me, Shalamas?
Yes, I can.
Did you used to live in Little Rock?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Because you know my husband, Marvin Rubenstein. Do you remember
Oh,
him? He worked with
Yes,
Mary.
yes, of course. Oh
So
my gosh,
anyway, that was just, sorry about that. I just,
that's
hello,
okay.
how are you?
Good, good.
All right.
Oh, and I know your daughter, I forgot her name.
Oh,
She cut my
Rebecca?
signal. Yeah, Rebecca. Yeah. Wow.
All
That's
right,
cute.
nice to see you.
Yeah.
That's very cute.
Nice to see all of you, actually.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes I think that the b'diavad, I guess, you know, like we have a bar of what we think we should be doing, and I wonder whether what we do is what's supposed to be. That is what's supposed to be, right? So when you did what you did, Karen, with your cousin, that was the tahara that she was going to get, right? So it's not second best, it's the best given the circumstances. So it still has so much value to it. Like even during COVID, when we weren't doing taharas, but I'd go in and I'd open up the body bag, like I'd hold my breath, literally hold my breath, and go in and because we didn't know, and I'd like open up the body bag and I'd like lay the trachrichim on and say some pasukim and put some sand in, and I felt like I had done a really good thing, And you could say, well, but I didn't do the whole tahara. We didn't do for months. We didn't do it with the full tahara, but we did something.
Mm-hmm.
You did.
That's true.
So I guess that's
Thank you.
the best. It's not second best. It's best for the circumstances
that
that we have in our realm, in front of us right now.
Exactly.
And I really think that the power, like we spoke earlier, the power of being there, the power of bearing witness to it, the power of bringing the Shekhinah into the morgue with us, like that's huge. That's so huge.
And that's really nicely said, Alyssa, that there's a lot that's happening, even if, we're not doing all of the actual physical pieces of it, that there's still a lot of the spiritual part that's going on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Putting sand in, like what she was saying about the sand being such a spiritual energy power to bring a tikkun, that we're putting that into the aron that wouldn't otherwise have been there, like huge. So what do you think, Karen? Does that help?
Yeah, very much. It does. It does. I mean, we always ask an opinion from a Rav before we proceed in difficult cases, but
Yeah.
I think everybody's had the difficult ones around COVID time. So
Yeah, for sure.
I also just feel like whatever we can't do or whatever, like it's all a kapara for the mace. Like as difficult as it is, like I just think like it should just be a kapara. It should just be a kapara. They should suffer less, after their din that they have in Shamayim. So I think that's what we have to also keep in mind. We're doing the best that we could do, and it's really the best for the mace, and it should just stand in good stead for them. And it's difficult. Sometimes it's very difficult. When there was a tahara that I did on Pesach, on Chalamoid Pesach, like this elderly woman who lived in Denver, and she went to Baltimore to live with her kids, and they brought her back here to be buried. And it was such a hard tahara, and we were able to do a proper tahara, but just like she suffered so much at the way end, and it was so difficult for me because I just remember her as the sweetest, most gentle person. And it was just like, we did the best that we could do, and this is the way Hashem wanted it to be. And it should just be a kapara for her. And I don't know, but it was hard. It's hard. I think it's important to acknowledge the difficulty with it. And the zchus that we have to do what we do, which is really incredible.
Okay, so I'll be back in touch with Yehudis Golchevsky to put together another 3-part series. We'll do it on the Pesukim and where they come from, what they mean, how to think about them. We have a panel on the 1st of August, positive Taharas. the good experiences rather than the traumatic ones. Gonna shake that up a little bit. So that's August 1st. And then please, if you know other people in Chevra Kadishas anywhere, then they should join the group and be part of this and let them know about it and have them sign up, etc. We're going to get those ladies in Little Rock, Arkansas in.
That's
And,
amazing. Thank you, Alyssa. This is
Yeah.
really special, really special.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So happy we have
Yeah,
England,
thank
and Denver, and New York, and Memphis, and Minneapolis, Minnesota. Like it's just crazy. It's so great.
Thank you.
All right, have a good week,
Thanks.
everybody, and
Thank you.
yeah,
Too.
Tov, Chodesh Tov.
Amazing.